Hello, beautiful listeners. We're back again at Catholic Narcissist Recovery, here on a mission to help you recover from narcissistic abuse and reclaim your life. And I'm joined with Chris, who's going to share with us how Mother Mary helped her in her recovery process and healing from narcissistic abuse. Chris, thank you for joining us and for your vulnerability today. I'm so excited to jump into this topic.
Absolutely. And talking about how my faith has saved me it's awesome. I just love it. Yeah, there's so much I could say. Any particular spot you want me to start, or?
Why don't we start with Mary? I know you've spoken a lot about how Mary's been instrumental kind of in your journey in healing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember you saying that there were certain signs. You saw Mary like on a billboard, and she's been talking to you in a variety of different ways. Just talk to us, to our listeners, maybe about that.
Yeah. I think for me, for a long time, even within my long marriage and my development of my faith, I saw how my faith was preparing me and forming me for years. Did I take action? Not a lot. And that was always cause of the internal conflict that I kind of had, because I could see, right? And I could feel the discernment, but I could never really do anything about it. But I'll just start when I left. So after 28 years, I've always loved our Blessed Mother. I actually started consecrating myself to her back in probably, 2010, when I was studying True Devotion to Mary, as well as the 33 Days of Morning Glory with Father Michael Gately. I did that for years. And I also have a really a love for Our Lady of Guadalupe. So just to start, I thought this was really interesting too. So a year before I actually left, if you would have asked me a year prior to me leaving my marriage if I was going to be divorced, I would have been like, no way, like, right? Because I was married and I'm committed to it. But a friend of mine called me up one day and said, hey, Father Don Calloway, whom we love, is going to be leading this pilgrimage to Our Lady of Guadalupe next January. Do you want to go? So I was like, yeah, great. And my husband, was like, sure, go, fine, go, because he knew I always wanted to go. So I signed up, and the trip wasn't for an entire year. So by the time I went, I was 4 months post leaving my marriage. So much was happening within that 4 months. I thought I was going to be homeless for 2 weeks, literally. And that's a whole nother story too. But bottom line is that I finally went to Mexico City, Mexico on that pilgrimage. And who knew? I mean, Our Lady knew when I signed up how pivotal this was going to be for me and how strong that pilgrimage was going to be for me. But when I went and I came home, 4 days later is when I had to, for the very first time after 4 months, sit in a conference room and actually see my ex for the first time with no contact, no conversation, and sit at a conference room with both our lawyers and discuss the acknowledgement of moving forward. And I say that because just the power and where I was spiritually, I felt so at peace. I was like, okay, we're here. We're at a conference room, but Our Lady's with me. Like, we're good. We're good. So that was really cool. Oh my gosh, let me go back to when I first left. I literally left and I couldn't get into my apartment for 2.5 weeks. I didn't know where I was going to go. I'm sure I could have knocked on 1,000 doors and people would have been like, oh my gosh, stay here as long as you need. But I literally left with my clothes after 28 years. I had clothes and that was about it. And I went to my daughter's house the first night I left just because I didn't know where to go. And because nobody knew what I was doing either. I had to keep it all under top secret. So I drove south But I didn't want to stay with her for the protection of, I didn't want to put her in a position of lying, because I knew he would be calling both the kids and asking all kinds of questions. So for her benefit, I said, I'm just going to stay here for a couple of hours, shut my eyes, which I did. And by 6 a.m, I left, and I literally got in my car. And every day for the last month in preparing, I literally would go to bed at night with my car keys in my sports bra at night, for the fear of him getting my keys or seeing that I had things in my car that, I was ready to go. So anyway, every night I would just be like, what do you want me to do the next day? What do you want me to do the next day? And when God places things on your heart, you just know. He said the day before I left, he was like, because I had 2 cars to kind of strategize of how I'm getting rid of, or not rid of, but placing them. And I couldn't travel with them. So he said, get a rental car. And I was like, I had no idea. Like, I didn't know what, but I was like, okay, so I got my cars, I got a rental car. I had been praying at the time, a novena to Saint Therese, because she is one of my absolute favorite saints. And this was literally 3 days after I left, was the feast day of Saint Therese. So I wake up from my daughter's house. I leave. I have no clue where I'm driving. I'm just going to get out of the road and continue to drive south. Well, I saw a sign for Chattanooga, Tennessee. I love Chattanooga, and I'm like, perfect. I'm just going to go hang out in Chattanooga, and I'll figure it out. So at this point, I go to Chattanooga, and I'm now starting to share my story with more people. I'm starting opening up my truth. And again, I'm doing the novena to Saint Therese. And I'm staying in a hostel in a single bed with a curtain, like, because I don't know. And it was fine. I love this little hostel. I've stayed there before. So it was comfortable, and I loved it, and it was cheap and whatever. But every day I'm like, what do you want from me today? Where are we going? And as I shared my story, one of my friends said, look, you're only 6 hours. We have a condo on the beach. It's totally available. We'll give you all the access, all of it. Go there. So on the feast day of St. Therese, where was I? I woke up in a gorgeous condo on the beach, all by myself, about 12 hours away from the city that I was. And I knew I was safe, and I could sit there and breathe. And so I don't know. I see that as Mary taking care of me. And then fast forward a few days later, because within my marriage, I could no longer go to mass. Like if I went, I had to lie about it, because spiritual abuse was insane. So I found myself that week on the beach. I was like, I want to find mass. Like, I'm yearning to go back to mass. And so I'm looking, where's the closest church? And so I find one. It's on the beach. I go, and I'm standing there for the very first time in so long. And the priest comes in and says, today is the feast day of Saint Faustina, which for me, I mean, divine mercy, that's been my entire life. It has been surrounded by divine mercy. So again, I just was like, you can't make this stuff up, right?
I have goosebumps.
I know, you can't make it up. And then fast forward, again, I left with basically clothes. On my way home, I had some friends that lived in Florida. They were en route of me coming back home. And so I said, oh, I'll stop by and see you guys for a night. And they're fantastic. So I get there, and they had just downsized from 2 homes to 1. So they had like double of everything. I literally remember that rental car, or I'd mentioned a rental car, and I had no idea why, but I got a rental car anyway. Well, I now figured out not just the rental car, but even the style, make, and model of the rental car that I had. When I got to my friend's house that I thought I was just going to spend the night and have some time with, they loaded that car with 2 TVs,
Wow.
forks and knives, plates, a carpet. Like it was to this point that I didn't even, so to be grateful for a fork and a bowl to eat out of, I kid you not, I woke up with like I have a bowl and I have a fork. Like I can have a meal. Like it was that like crazy, but that's how much God provided. And then the day that I move in my apartment, again, you can't make it up. It was the feast day of our Mother Mary.
No.
Right. So, I mean, and so many multiple more stories that, they're just showing me the way all the time. So the one that you had mentioned, I'll be real quick, but I went to go, finally, I'd been in my apartment for about a year. First of all, I want to just say the 2 churches at the apartment, they were both a mile away in each direction. One, the name of the church was St. Therese, and the other church was named Divine Mercy. I kid you not.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like, even the name of the churches are speaking to me hugely. Wow. So anyway, so about a year later, I'm like, okay, I can't live in this apartment forever. Maybe I should, look for a condo. And that's what I did. And I just happened to see this condo for sale. And as I went to go see it, I turned into the complex and there was a big billboard right by the turn into the complex. And the billboard literally was a big, huge Divine Mercy billboard that said, Jesus, I trust in you. Okay. And then I look over to the car next to me and there was a rosary hanging off the rearview mirror.
So beautiful.
You can't make that. So that, obviously that's the condo I bought. And it's in, and the church that's close to me there is the Sacred Heart of Jesus.
Perfect. God had his hand on you.
He still does, and he always will.
Beautiful.
But the hard thing is because we come from that place of abuse, the hard thing is letting go enough to allow him to be in control, to have that level of intimacy with Jesus. I mean, that's what I'm working on now, right? Is I see it and I feel it and I know it, but to really let go and allow to be more deeply united in within that intimacy of our faith, because that's all he wants is our heart, right? Yeah. It's a process, but I'm excited. I'm excited because I always want more of what he has than what I can create for myself. So it's a good place to be.
Oh, and it's so beautiful how Mama Mary showed so many signs of how she's also taking care of you throughout the whole.
She always does. Yeah. I mean, that's her whole job, right? Is to lead us ever so closer to her son, Jesus.
Amen.
So
what would you say for people who want to increase or improve their relationship with Mary? Any tips?
Just to be vulnerable and allow it. Ask for her help. Just ask. Even when scared, just be vulnerable and get on your knees and just ask. That's all they want. We always hear how Jesus is such a gentleman. He's never going to force his way, but he's just waiting for us to say, yes, I'm open.
Beautiful. I love that. Mm-hmm. Thanks so much for sharing all your beautiful stories of Mary.
You're welcome.
I'm so excited you joined us. Are you ready to take the next step? Head on over to our website, catholicnarcrecovery.com, and join us for weekly community gatherings. We also have some awesome healing resources on there too. Remember, God loves you and God is in control, not the narcissist. God bless.